This story is about momentum, the idea of momentum as it relates to energy and energy transfer, and more specifically, business systems. So this one is called Tada. Businesses have momentum. And what I mean by that is that a business can be visualized in a scale model that shows three things: the money flowing through the business, a map of the processes flowing through the business, and a matrix with the performance of the people doing the work at each step in the processes. And all this can be color coded at each step, red, yellow, green, to determine where in the business is working well and where it needs improvement. And this is called friction. And when everything is green, the business system is running optimally. And this relates to this idea of momentum, is that like all systems, a business requires energy to do work. And that's the same thing as an engine in a car or a heat engine. I'll put a heat engine below in this video. And it costs energy to do something called work. And people do this thing called work. We call it work, but it is work in the same way that a horse lifting a rock is a horsepower, or in the same way that an engine burning gasoline creates the ability to do work, which is moving things around. And we do that with money. That's what we're trading. So our fuel is money, and money in this sense is energy. It acts exactly like energy. And because it acts like energy, there's a potential component, a kinetic component, and a theoretical component of it, just like energy. And it's possible to visualize this as it flows around. And I learned this in 1985 when I was mowing lawns. And I had already learned about a model of energy transfer that I saw in a completely different way, but a model of marbles rolling down ramps and how they accelerated and how many dominoes they would knock over at the end of the ramp, which is a measurement of momentum. And so I understood these relationships at a young age. I didn't know the words for anything I just said, but I knew what they were and how they worked in models. And I also had learned at this time, 1984-ish, 5, 6, my dad was teaching me about money, the basics of money and the importance of long-term planning with money and basically how money worked. And my dad every month told me how much money he made, how much money he spent, how much money he lost with his decisions, why he thought he lost money, what he could have done better, and what things cost when they broke. And I think the most important lessons there were around losing money and lessons learned, because I've lost a lot of money and learned a lot of lessons. But as it relates to momentum, the same is true in business. And so the model of the money in a business is represented by spinning gears that show the proportional value of the money at each step in the process. And the money is measuring, the speed of the gears is measuring the income velocity, the dollars per hour in the US, or currency per hour somewhere else. And the idea is that, in terms of measuring the velocity of this money, that when you reduce the friction in the business, you increase the velocity of the money because you're not burning as much in waste. That's like shoving more gasoline through an engine with like a turbocharger. So basically you make it more efficient by either reducing the number of steps in the business or increasing the performance at each step through some kind of optimization, usually compensation plans and things like that. And so by tuning things this way and seeing things this way, it becomes clear that just like a marble rolling down a ramp has increasing momentum, that a gear that represents money that's increasing in velocity, it's accelerating, it's getting faster, has increasing momentum. Because the size, the spatial size of this imaginary gear that's representing money, because it's indexed to a value that's equal to revenue, so it's proportional. So what that means is that it creates a scale model of the flow of money. And since energy can always be represented by spinning gears at different stages in a process, then it becomes, I guess I don't want to say easy, it becomes possible to conclude that the system the rate that the gears are increasing and decreasing in velocity, as measured this way and visualized this way, matches the same rate that they would increase and decrease if they were made of metal, like a real machine, because they're measuring the mass of money spatially. So in the same way, if you had a business that had a sales funnel, which is money coming in, and in the first stage, there was like $1 million of potential customers, you were selling something that cost $100,000 and you just needed to sell 10 of them. That's up there. Okay. And 10 people heard of this thing. And that's the value that I'm representing in this, let's do it this way, in this gear way, right? A circle. If it was made of gold, for real, this gear, and the mass of it or weight of it was equal to $1 million, then the size of that gear made of gold would be proportional to $1 million. And all I'm saying is if downstream of that, 5 of the 10 people disappear, and now you only have 5 people at $100,000 each, then the next gear is half as much mass, because the value of it is half as much. So you need half as much gold. And what I'm saying is what's happening in the business is little pieces of gold are moving between these gears. Is some are coming from here. Those are called potential customers, and they get moved to the next one, and they increase the size, and the rate that this is occurring conserves momentum. And when I was 15 and I came up with this idea, I didn't know exactly what momentum was, but I knew this. This is what I decided I would do. I would use this idea to launch Project Honeylight. So I build software called Visualizer that visualizes businesses in the way that I'm describing here. I have connected it to real data. The data was bad, so I wasn't able to demonstrate the idea that I'm explaining here in terms of accuracy of money. I rebuilt it in a different way and built a software package called CloudMiner that increases the momentum of a business by improving the efficiency of the sales funnel. And that's created millions of dollars so far in the last 2 years by optimizing, by reducing friction. Simple as that. And so that's a demonstration of it. And the next phase is to add back the gears on top to prove it visually and spatially. And the plan is to complete that, I'd say, in the next, by 2025, 2026. Also, when I build the software, which is in a future story of the B-Box regenerative business system that's going to operate this B business that I'm designing, the interface will be based on Visualizer, and the people that are operating this business will be clicking on gears and diving into different pieces of their business to understand how it works. And that will also demonstrate that momentum is conserved.